So, this episode is going to be about something. Because I don't know, because I actually have to start the episode because I don't know when I'm going to have to eat something. And yeah, I do not want to stop the episode quite like in the middle of the episode. Therefore, I'm just going to do it right now. Yeah. Well, yeah, maybe this is going to be a talking episode. I don't know. I do not know. I hope you're feeling fine. I hope you're feeling good. I hope today is a good day for you. This is actually kind of the, most common tweet you're going to see or hear of me because, this is what I'm thinking about. I want to wish people a good day. I want to wish people a good life. This is what I want for them. It is amazing. It is amazing. Let's actually, you know what? Because I haven't been talking about it, up to this point. I haven't been talking about Seth's blog, Seth Godin, the author, and I haven't even read one of his articles. And therefore, I think I'll just gonna read his article, his newest one, just because I'm thinking about it, just because it's amazing, just because he is amazing, just because his content is really amazing. All of his books are quite, in terms of just reading books, for me, it is when I do not understand anything or everything, then it is just clearly fucked up. If I do not understand the plot or if I do not understand kind of the whole meaning of the book, then of course it is a shitty book, even though it is a good book. And unfortunately, I guess it was actually the exact same thing for This Is Marketing, because I haven't understood quite a few things, and I'm not going to look up every fucking word that I do not understand because I'm a lazy motherfucker in this sense. In other senses, I'm totally not, but I just do not want to look up everything, something that I just do not want to do. I could, maybe I should, but I do not want to somehow, because, also sometimes I kind of tell myself, your English is pretty well, you can understand it, through context and whatsoever, but in the end it's I do not understand everything. But still, This Is Marketing is a pretty good book, and I assume, unfortunately, if you actually read the Amazon ratings, or the Amazon reviews on the books and whatsoever, then a lot of people are going to tell you, okay, they thought it's going to be a really good book, but in the end it was a little shitty and whatsoever, but most often because of the reason that, he has been talking about the same things for quite some time right now. I think he's 60 or something, maybe kind of 50, 60, 70, something in this kind of range. And, of course you're going to talk about the same things if you're 100 years old. Of course there's the exact same things in your mind. And of course there's going to be the chance that you're talking about the same things. Even though I believe that This Is Marketing is actually, it is his 2018 book, by the way. It was published 2018, so it's a fairly new one. And it is somehow like a tip of all the other books that he has written on marketing specifically, because he has also written on some, I would say, more self-help things, like The Dip. It is, at my point of view, for me, kind of feels like more a self-helpy book. Let's actually read the article, or his blog, actually. Is it a blog article? It is actually from today. Yeah, it is actually from today. The thing is, when is he writing this one? When did he wrote this one? Because he's from the US and now it is 11 a.m. in my country, at my place. It's 11 a.m. When did he wrote that fucker? Really interesting. And by the way, his podcast is insane. I'm gonna show it to you. It's just insane. It's just insanely good. It is one of the best podcasts that I've ever heard, that I've ever been listening to. Up to this point, there are 5 seasons. If I can read this correctly here. Every single episode, you can still see, the later episodes, they are a little bit better. They are just a little bit better. But in general, all the episodes are amazing. To just hear his thoughts on various things, it's just great. I just like it. Maybe it's just because I like Seth Godin so much, because he's having just such a calm voice. It is insane, and it's just really nice listening to him, and you just really feel and you really also kind of get to know that he is definitely a pretty knowledgeable person. It is great. It is amazing. It really is. It really is amazing. You can listen to Akimbo on Overcast, on the website itself. Then you can listen to it on Stitcher. What else? RSS. Isn't he on Apple Podcast? Of course. And I would actually say that he's also on Spotify. But I'm not quite sure. Like, I don't know. If he is not on Spotify, I do really have to say, like, what? Because everybody's on Spotify. Everybody's listening to anything on Spotify. Therefore, having a podcast on Spotify is a must, at my point of view. Because, it is not about, okay, you feeling good doing it, or you just, I don't know, having it more easier because you do not have to publish to Spotify. It is because there is a lot of people there, and people want to listen to your shit, and you should provide it to them. So, the placebo blindness, which is his 15th of September 2019 article and or blog post. You can go to work offended by the idea that you might traffic in placebos. You can be certain that your aromatherapy, jewelry store, engineering consulting, stereo gear, or home improvement practice is 100% performance-based, completely driven by specs, immune to a double-blind study. Or you can embrace the fact that human beings are 94% irrational, making decisions based on feelings, expectations, and culture. That none of us are double-blind in real life, that the placebo is the most highly leveraged and efficient way you have got to help people get to where they are going. Ignoring the placebo effect won't make it go away. Embracing it will help you do much better work that quite possibly is based on those skills and practices you have worked so hard to be good at. If it is worth doing your work, it is worth doing it in a way where placebos will help you do it better. Something that I recognize, with something that I am talking about, and something that other people are talking about, especially Seth Godin, Gary Vee, whatever, is that most often, they're talking about something that I clearly do not know anything about. I know what the placebo effect is, and I'm gonna read about it because I wanna make it sure, and I also do just have the feeling to provide as much value as I possibly can. They are talking about some thoughts, often with metaphors, often with kind of things that might also only be relating to them. And it then feels like, well, it must feel good for him, but I quite do not understand it. Something that I see very often, because I'm often talking about some things that are just like metaphors and other things, and nobody, I guess, can understand them unless I'm explaining them. Well, yeah, it feels good for me because it just really works, in my eyes, in my head, in my soul, but for other people it might not be working. I still believe, and something that he just pointed out, we are just really irrational. I don't know, of course you can be like, okay, this option makes sense, and that option does not make any fucking sense. You could be doing that. I'm not gonna say you can't. You can. You really can. The thing is, will you? Are you doing that? Maybe not, because we really, truly are irrational. We kind of, our feelings are like so strong. We act through our feelings. We kind of use our feelings to make decisions, to do things, to whatever. It's like we're just using our feelings. It is maybe our tool to do things. I don't know. The thing is, we are really irrational. Therefore, and I've actually also tried to kind of manipulate, quote unquote, people with the placebo effect for their sake, like to actually make something good for them. Not because I wanted to manipulate them and I wanted their money or some shit like this. Really not willing to do that because it really would fuck my fucking karma. I would die. I don't know, a day afterwards, if I would really be doing this, just because of my karma, just because then I'm just a really fucked up and shitty person. But it really can heavily work. But, I think something pretty interesting, because I've actually heard that some prisoners, I would assume that it is in the US, because people can get killed in prison when they've done something, when they have committed murder or something like this, but also in other countries, I'm not gonna say like, okay, only in the US, because it's just not true. Somebody, or it might have been actually a few people, they have got, I think it was only salt water. Was it salt water? I think it actually was only just salted water or something. They have got injected it as their kind of poison injection, so that they die, and they actually died because of it. They died because of the salt water that got injected into their blood flow. And they shouldn't, Normally you wouldn't die. Of course, I think it isn't kind of the best thing you can have in your body, but you wouldn't die, And they only died because of the placebo effect. Because they thought like, okay, just because their mind is so strong and our just psyche is so amazingly strong, Just because they thought I'm gonna die in the prison, they just died, no matter fucking what. And I don't know, it would be amazing to just see if this is right, because I've been always and often kind of talking about it, but I actually do not know if it is just a true story. I've only heard it somewhere, sometime. But yeah, no, let's actually see where this link is leading to. Oh, it is actually an explanation for placebo, as he thinks about it, or what he thinks about it. So I'm gonna link all the links that are somehow interesting to you. Also this Medium article that you might be seeing or might not be seeing if you're on the podcast down there. But it's a heavily long one, and it is written by Seth Godin. And it is from 2014, I guess. Yeah, it should be. And yeah, so maybe you read it. Maybe it is interesting to you. Maybe you want to know more about the placebo as he thinks about it. Maybe I'm going to read kind of the first line to get a sense of it, to just somehow feel like I know what he's talking about. It is a 20-minute read. I'm clearly not going to read that because, So, facing a long plane trip with a nasty cold, I headed over to the health food store. Excuse me, do you have any placebos? I have a really horrible cold and I will take the strongest one you have got. She looked at me with a pity. Placebo? Yes, please. Do you know which company makes that? I don't think we have any placebos. I waited for a second, thinking hard about what was happening. Hey Sylvia, she yelled, there is a guy out here who wants some placebos, but he doesn't know who makes it. Do we carry that? But Sylvia didn't know. A placebo is a story we tell ourselves that changes the way our brain and our body works. A placebo makes wine taste better, cancer drugs more effective, and education significantly more efficient and effective. Anytime a story or ritual changes the way we encounter something, we have experienced the placebo effect, and that is precisely what modern marketers do. Create stories, build rituals, and produce external cues that change personal experience. Placebos can be caused by very direct cues, things we often call marketing, maybe unfortunately, and by more subconscious signals as well. Marketers initiate placebos every time they invest time or money in telling a story that changes the user's perception or expectation. A placebo is the single most important element of marketing, but it is also the essential silent factor in just about every interaction we have with the outside world. It is the secret to athletic performance, medicine, fashion, and personal relationships. So he's also talking about scientific studies. So let's begin with a clear scientific study to dispel anyone inclining to be skeptical. In not one, but two extremely rigorous studies of lower back pain, one of the most expensive and pernicious ailments of an aging population, researchers found that it is acupuncture, was twice as effective as traditional Western medical techniques. More fascinating, fake acupuncture was statistically as effective as real acupuncture. What the fuck? So the cost effectiveness here is so clear that it is no brainer to prescribe acupuncture to every lower pain back sufferer. Might as well do the real kind, since there is nowhere to send people who want the placebo alternative. If a placebo can change the way wine tastes and the way your back feels, why is it something that makes us squeamish to discuss? We have built a secret mode around the placebo, placed a taboo on talking about it. I didn't know that. I always felt like, okay, gonna talk about the placebo, just talking about it. And diminished its role in our lives. It is almost as if we expect that talking about the placebo will make it go away. Oh, now I understand this. Researchers show that it isn't true. The placebo is so powerful it has no need to hide. Just amazing. But let's actually see what Wikipedia says about the placebo. The past few days I actually always see just something flying around, but there is nothing. I guess something is wrong with me. Placebo, that, it actually seems to be the case that there is a band called Placebo. How the Nocebo effect can trick us into actually dying. Placebo proves so powerful even experts are surprised. From the New York Times. The dark side of the placebo effect. Can you die from placebo effect? Well, maybe this BBC article isn't too long, because I assume that the New York Times article is gonna be long. Well, it is okay, but I still don't want to read it because it's a little bit too much. It's a little bit too much, you understand that. It's a little bit... Well, actually, I think there is something that might be interesting. So, a doctor or doctors have long known that beliefs can be deadly, as demonstrated by a rather nasty student prank that went horribly wrong. The 18th century Viennese, is it from Vienna? Viennese medic Erich Menninger, or Eric Menninger von Lerchenthal, or whatever it would be in English, I don't fucking know, describes how students at his medical school picked on a much disliked assistant planning to teach him a lesson. They sprung upon him before announcing that he was about to be decapitated, behead, cut off the head of guillotine, put on the block, that he was about to be decapitated, blindfolding him. They bowed his head onto the chopping block before dropping a wet cloth on his neck. Convinced it was the kiss of a steel blade, the poor man died on the spot. What the fucking hell? What the fuck? I don't know. The thing is, how must you feel? If you were the person that did that joke, the prank, you killed somebody. But, what it is about just, with your lawyer and whatsoever, gonna be like, okay, I haven't killed him, but in the end I have. What was their punishment then? Because you couldn't, because it was your fault, but it was also not your fault. It's a pretty interesting thing. It's a really interesting thing, I have to say. Really, really, really interesting. Really interesting. But it is now becoming clear just how easily those dangerous beliefs can spread through gossip and heresy with potent effect. It may be the reason why certain houses seem cursed with illness and why people living near wind turbines report puzzling outbreaks of dizziness, insomnia, and vomiting. If you have ever felt fluidly after a vaccination, believed your cell phone was giving you a headache, or suffered an inexplicable food allergy, you may have also fallen victim to a nocebo effect, or nocebo jinx. The nocebo effect shows the brain's powers, says Dimos Mystiakos from Athens Naval Hospital in Greece, and we cannot fully explain it. Of course we can't, unfortunately. But I don't know what the nocebo effect is. A nocebo effect is said to occur when negative expectations of the patient regarding a treatment cause the treatment to have a more negative effect than it otherwise would have. For example, when a patient anticipates a side effect of a medication, they can suffer that effect even if the medication is actually an inert substance. Complementary concept, the placebo effect, is said to occur when positive expectations. Okay, so the nocebo is when something is negative, and the placebo is when something is positive. So the term nocebo, I shall harm, from noceo, I harm, which is Latin, I guess, or they say it's Latin, was coined by Walter Kennedy in 1961 to denote the counterpart to the use of the placebo. And the placebo is called I shall please, from placeo, which is also Latin, I guess, or I please. The response, but I would actually like to have verbal suggestions can cause hyperalexia, increased sensitivity to pain, and allodynia, perception of a tactile stimulus as painful, as a result of the nocebo effect. Nocebo hyperallergy is believed to involve the activation of something receptors. I would actually like to find this kind of thing that I've been talking about. The death penalty. The nocebo effect can trick us into actual death. Nocebo effect. Yeah, thanks. This is gonna be cut out, motherfucker. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I can't find anything. Maybe we also have a look at the New York Times article, because this might be a pretty good one. So there's a little story. I hope it is kind of the long one. But yeah, let's see. Maybe I can find it afterwards somewhere else, because they say I can actually read it. I always thought on the New York Times side I do actually have to buy to read the whole ones. But actually not. It seems to be the case. It seems to be the case that I do not have to do that. So many doctors know the story of Mr. Wright, who was found to have cancer and in 1957 was given only days to live. Hospitalized in Long Beach, California, with tumors the size of oranges, he heard that scientists have discovered a horse serum, crabiosin, that appeared to be effective against cancer. He begged to receive it. His physician, Dr. Philip West, finally agreed and gave Mr. Wright an injection on a Friday afternoon. The following Monday, the astonished doctor found his patient out of his deathbed, choking with the nurses. The tumors, the doctor wrote later, had melted like snowballs on a hot stove. 2 months later, Mr. Wright read read medical reports that the horse serum was a quack remedy. He suffered an immediate relapse. Don't believe what you read in the papers, the doctor told Mr. Wright. Then he injected him with what he said was a new, super refined double-strength version of the drug. Actually, it was water. But again, the tumor masses melted. Mr. Wright was the picture of health for another 2 months until he had a definite report stating that cribiosin was worthless. He died 2 days later. What the fuck? It's just an amazingly interesting story, amazingly interesting thing. So maybe you are also able to help one of your buddies, or your family with placebos. Could be the thing. But I guess it really has to be believable. In terms of, because I've tried it and I was like, I'm gonna get this shit, I'm gonna get the medicine, I'm gonna get this particular thing. But in the end, it was like nothing. It was only water, and I thought about it, and I really believe that if you're just giving something to somebody and you're just having the drug in your hand and you're putting it into the glass because it's dissolving or something, or they actually have to gulp it down, then I guess it is way more believable. I think it is just about being believable. It's just that the people and the person just believes in what you're doing there. I guess, at least. I think it is all about that. It is all about believing shit. But yeah, because we have always been doing it, the past few days, we're actually going ahead with another Quora question, on something that I still don't know. Making money online. It's work. A lot of work. Just don't try to have some quick kind of shitty, fucked up, try to get fucking money just the fastest time, fastest way you can have. It won't work. How many hours of sleep are you getting tonight? Is it like, in general or today? I'm actually going to talk about this because I have been talking about sleep for quite some time on this channel, on this podcast. And yeah, I believe that I know some things about sleep. I usually get from 5 to 8 hours or something. I most often just deprive myself from sleep, to be honest, which is an unfortunate thing, Something that I should maybe not be doing because it is really not the most healthiest thing, to be honest. But it just gives me a lot of time, This is the reason why I've actually finished up with quite everything after I've recorded and edited both episodes that I have to do today, I have already been just working on my diploma. I have worked out. I've recorded an episode and I've also just recorded the second one because this is going to be finished in a few minutes. It's amazing. It gives me just a lot of time. And this is what and I don't know, of course, there's going to be some health issues. If you're really fucking with it, then there's definitely going to be some health issues and you should definitely watch out for that. If you're feeling really not good, please sleep more. But for me, it is like, well, I don't know, it might also be somehow correlated to my psyche. Like, I'm feeling good when I'm having enough time to do what I'm willing to do. Therefore, I'm feeling good. Therefore, I'm healthy. Therefore, I'm just being on my top level, But when I'm just sleeping, 100 hours a day, then I'm not going to feel good, because I kind of feel like, I'm stressed out all the time because I have to record, I have to work out, I have to do this and that and whatsoever. And it wouldn't do me any good. Could also be the thing. But I would say try to get quality sleep. Because the number doesn't say too much. Yeah, because 10 hours of rolling around won't be a good sleep. Just focus on having a good sleep. Focus on having just enough sleep, for you. You might be structured and wired differently. Maybe you only need 4 hours or 1 hour of sleep each night, but you have to be honest with yourself. So try to have quality sleep and try to do what your body is saying. Basically, this is my tip for your sleeping time. But yeah, this is going to be it with the episode, I guess. I really have to thank you for going through this with me. It's been an amazing journey. It's been an amazingly great episode, just because the placebo effect is really interesting for me, at least. But yeah, all the links should be down in the description if you want to check out the articles and also the blog post on your own. And yeah, I wish you the best health, of happiness, and also success. And I also have to remind yourself how you're going to be remembered, which basically is your legacy, because we can totally shape it. We can totally form it into shape and form and whatsoever. But still, no matter how nice you are, no matter how no matter how generous and kind you are, there's still going to be somebody that hates you or just dislikes you. Something else that I'm willing you to think about and talk about and whatsoever is your purpose, And 3 questions, 3 that might help you with that are: what are you trying to change? Why are you here? And what is bothering you the most? I hope they can help you. I hope you're gonna find your purpose. And I'll see you the next time. So subscribe to the podcast, subscribe to the YouTube video. I'm gonna see you, hopefully. And bye. Yeah.